Hey Percy, would you mind explaining to me what's going on inside the machine?
Alright, so this machine is a distributor. It's got wind charges inside of it, and it distributes that all over the island. And this is how the inventor gets all the energy everywhere.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the wind come from?
Exactly. It doesn't come from anywhere right now, and so we need to have something for that.
I see. Maybe I can come up with something.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, if you build something really epic, then I'm going to make it functional and connect it up to the machine, and then we have something really cool.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome. Well, we have a plan.
Woo!
Let's get to work.
Let's go. Hello everybody and welcome back to Cogs and Clouds, where we design a soon-to-be playable steampunk map on a floating island in the sky. This is episode 2, which is kind of fitting because we are going to tackle 2 things today. But before I tell you anything more about this, let's just jump right into it, shall we? You know what? Jumping off of this balcony counts to me as jumping into the episode. So here we are. In the last episode, when we built this huge workshop, we already took care of the cog part of the Cogs and Clouds adventure. So naturally, we are left with the clouds. So today is going to be all about the clouds. And if you have seen Percy's episode, you might know that he gave our machine a very awesome functionality. And you might also notice that it looks a little different from last episode, as it is now looking a little bit dark. We built it out of white stained glass, and now it's made out of tinted glass. Which only can mean one thing. The machine is turned off. Obviously, because we don't have any source of energy yet. We don't have anything that can power our machine. And that is where the clouds come into play. You see, the lovely thing about clouds, especially clouds in Minecraft, is that they are moving. And why are they moving? That's right, because of the wind. And I want to use the energy of the wind to power the machine behind me and everything that is going to be built on this island. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to add another machine to this island that catches the clouds and converts them into wind energy. However, this workshop takes up almost 50% of this island, and I feel like adding another machine really calls for adding maybe a little extension to this island. So let me just quickly take care of that. Boop. Lovely, another addition to the island. I feel like this is going to give us just enough space to work with my plans. So let's just go ahead and start with a very basic shape, which is in our case a circle. And I'm gonna move it up just a little bit so we can see what's happening here. First of all, I want to change this into some copper, just to give it a little more of a steampunky feel. And then you can see we can separate the X, Y, and Z values for our circle, which enables us to do very fun things like squeaking the circle around. So I'm gonna go with this elliptic egg-like shape. It looks like an egg that is laying on the side, and that is exactly what I want, because now we can select the front of this thing, and I'm gonna remove it so we can take a look inside. And you might already have an idea where I'm going with this. It is going to look like a very big turbine, a wind turbine if you will, that is going to catch the clouds above. And it's kind of giving off some solar punk vibes. Now what I really want to do is give this thing a little more airflow, just to make it look not as heavy as it is right now, because it is quite massive. And of course I'm going to move it up a little bit because, well, it doesn't do a lot of cloud catching if the clouds are up there and the thing is down here, but that's gonna come in just a few minutes. While I initially associated this thing with the turbines from an airplane, Percy said it kind of looks like a bug net, and I thought, hey, we could integrate that. So let's activate our replace mode, and now we can decide where we want these grates to actually sit. We are just going to replace a few of these blocks with some copper grates. That is already kind of cute. I really like the image of this being a bug net, but for clouds. Okay, so now we have an open front and a very bug net-like back. The next thing I want to add are some rotors, because, well, it looks a little bit lost without a rotor inside of it. Yep, I really like this. However, I feel like the color isn't quite where I want it to be. I'm thinking of using maybe some of the warped stairs instead to make it look like the center is very blue. It could also look like there is some shadow being cast onto the rotor itself. So maybe I'm just quickly gonna try out switching the stairs. I'm not sure if the warp blocks are a little too similar in color to the copper we have around it. Might have to take a few steps back and see. Well, the colors are kind of close. Maybe I'll have to tinker around with the colors a little more. However, I feel like it's time to get this baby up in the air. And I think I want to put it just below the clouds, so the other one can be exactly at cloud height, and this is gonna be just below, just in case we got some clouds that are flying a little lower. We'll just pretend, right? It's actually very big, and it's still looking quite big from down here, but that's what it's meant to be. You gotta see it. Also, one thing I really want to do is smooth off these edges right here. And maybe we're just gonna put some around on the outside as well. Yeah. Now that I see it, I feel like we could even change the color of the front of this thing to a different one. Also, I really don't like the stairs around here because they are sticking out a bit. But maybe that's a good thing once we change the color. I gotta play around with this a little bit. Give me a second. Okay, I like the separation of the colors. It kind of indicates the opening a little bit better. I'm still not fond of the color choice, so there might be a little more switcheroo. Okay, this is really, really bold. That's too much. We gotta find the middle ground, I feel like. Okay, how about we go back to where we were initially? Oh wait, no, it's the waxed exposed copper in comparison to the weathered copper. Maybe that's the middle ground we're looking for. If we just pull the gradient back a bit, it might work out. I'm just gonna go very roughly over this now because it's floating in the air, it is exposed to the weather after all, so it doesn't weather symmetrically, and maybe that is the solution here. I'm really starting to like how this thing is coming together. It's very floaty, it's very coppery, and I feel like we could go with some little fins maybe. Like little shark fins sticking out at the top. Maybe something like this. A little shark fin on top of it. Oh my goodness, it's actually kind of cute. I really like this. I didn't think I would like it this much. And this also makes me think if it's worth trying out to flip this whole fin downwards. Now we can attach it to the bottom. My goodness, this is a very adorable floaty cloud catcher. It looks a little bit like a fish, you know, like the moonfish. Maybe that's just me. I feel like that's some decent progress, and we can also try and add these on the side. I don't know if it's too much, but that's what we're here for, right? We can just try things out, you know? And the most important part about this is it has to look cool from the bottom, because that is the perspective you're going to see this thing from the most. Well, I'm still not sure what to do with the side fin. For now, I think I'm just gonna clone this one. It could be better, but honestly, it also could be worse. So I'm just gonna roll with it, and I'm gonna just put it on the other side, just for the sake of completeness. There we go. I mean, from the front, it looks very awesome, I gotta say. But from the side, I don't know yet. We might have to play around with this a little more. But one thing I realized, the warped wood, if you go far enough away, it kind of looks like an even more oxidized stage of the copper, which is a very cool feature I initially didn't really think about. And we are also getting into the stage of slowly but surely decorating this, like texturing it a little more. And yeah, we already started doing that at the top here and with the sides and the rotor, of course. And now I want to come in and add a little bit more of a block variation to the shell of our cloud catcher. And one other thing we could do is replace the bottom section with some darker blocks, as this is probably most of the time in the shadows of itself. Then we can have a little transition block with the warped stem as well. It's going to look like it's very massive. And the fact that the warped wood also has a bluish tint helps a lot with indicating shadows, I feel like. Because shadows are rarely reddish, they are mostly depicted as something that has a blue tint. I feel like we are getting close to the construction of our first cloud catcher, and as for the second cloud catcher, we are just going to come in here and mark out this whole thing down to the fin and simply clone it. We're just gonna move another one over here and bring it up to cloud height. Oh, look, there's a cloud already coming in, helping us to position this cloud catcher properly. Now this one is really aligned with the cloud height in Minecraft. So this is the real deal. I'm just gonna move it a little more sideways and let's confirm our position and finish this off. And now we have two wonderful cloud catchers. Oh, look how the cloud is going right through the thing. However, we need to attach them to the ground, otherwise they might just float away. They look very, very floaty at this point in time, so let me quickly add a little bit of maybe a pipe or a rope, something that helps the cloud catchers stay connected to the island, basically. The cloud catchers have officially been attached to the ground. Well, at least this one. That one is still kind of floating in the air, as you can see. I also added these two things, which I'm going to explain shortly. It's still floating above ground. Also, I pushed back the whole construction of the cloud catchers and the ropes leading downward to the ground. But back to the things behind me. We are going to create some lore around it because obviously we need the source of energy in the form of clouds or wind. And the cloud catchers above are collecting the clouds. The ropes behind me are leading the collected cloud material downwards. And now we have to process this form of energy somehow. We have to make the wind into wind energy. And that's what's going to happen down here. So we have two kind of pre-processing modules, one for each cloud catcher, and I imagine they kind of compress the wind or the clouds into a very compact form. And what I want to do now is add a big machine in the middle that compresses it further and converts it into the wind energy, which then can be sent towards the distributor that distributes it to the rest of the island. For somebody that has no idea of how things work, that sounds like a solid plan. So let's just try and build up the processing module that converts the wind into energy. As I said, I usually don't really know what kind of magic makes a machine work. So for this specific contraption, I had to fire up my imagination. And thinking of energy and wind, three things came to my mind: power grids, bellows, and a retro blow dryer. The big blue bellow receives the wind from the cloud catchers and greatly compresses it into, yep, you guessed it, wind charges. These are then going to be accelerated inside the retro blow dryer module by the huge fan I'm building here, ready to be then sent towards the distributor inside the workshop. At least that's how I'd imagine it to go down. Once I figured out the rough shapes of everything, I worked towards integrating the machine into our island, adding antennas, braces, pipes, and lots of little details to match our steampunk inventor vibe. I wanted this building to really give off that buzzing, high voltage feeling from power plants, while still maintaining the inventor's improvised amateur look. He was the one inventing the machine after all. The only thing that's missing now is the connecting pipe to the main hub. And after all the hard work was done, I even had a little time left to decorate the surroundings. Planting a little tree, shaping up the pathways, adding lots of berry bushes and foliage to the area, just before... Okay, look, I'd really like to toot my own horn here, but it was Percy who came up with the idea of replacing the rotor fans with nether bricks. And I gotta say, I love it. Let me take a step back. Look at this. We now have a contrast, not only in color, but also in brightness, and it makes the rotor so much more distinguishable from the rest of the cloud catchers. I'm so satisfied with how the both of these turned out, as well as the whole power grid down here. So I think we could call the whole cloud catching theme done for today. However, if you remember, at the beginning of this episode, I told you we are going to tackle 2 things today. And the whole power grid over here, plus the cloud catchers, were only one of them. The second thing I want to tackle today is also closely related to energy. But this time, it's not about the energy that gets distributed throughout this island, it is the energy that the players need to tackle this map. As well as the inventor, who had to invent a lot of stuff on this island, and he needed food, right? Everyone needs some kind of food. And I had this idea of a new kind of food I want to implement together with Percy on this map. And it's called a sweet root. Now, my question for you is, should we do a carrot with a beetroot texture, or should we do a beetroot with a carrot texture? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments, which one do you think is tastier? And which one do you think fits the description of a sweet root best? I'm very curious. But for now, we are going to build a greenhouse. And that is why I already prepared this sort of natural staircase leading downwards to the side of the island. Because it's not going to be just any greenhouse. I want to build a very cool greenhouse that sits sort of on the side of this floating island, and it's gonna be in a Victorian style, and I'm really excited to get started. And I feel like, as I've already been explaining so much today, why don't you just sit back and relax and enjoy a time lapse of us together building this greenhouse, huh? Let's go! I think I might have just created my most favorite place on this island. This little greenhouse, or rather big greenhouse, turned out so beautiful, and I gotta give you a tour. So we're going to start out on this balcony that features this cherry blossom tree, and it's just a wonderful place to come back to and relax and stare into the void. We also have these little crop fields for our sweet root where we can plant these and harvest these. I tried my best to implement every single plant there is in Minecraft into this greenhouse, as well as some other plants that I kind of came up with on the go. We even have a little area for all the ant plants over there. This is all just meant to be visual and just an enjoyable space. Also, of course, we have this very, very huge azalea tree just growing in the middle of this huge greenhouse, which I absolutely love. And once you come out here, you have this little exit area with some more storage, and this serves kind of as an entrance for the upper level, while we also have a pathway leading downwards towards the crop area. And once we come up this little pathway, you can already start seeing the huge cloud catchers flying above the compressing machine, and I gotta say, with the shaders, it looks just so vibrant, and I absolutely love the color combination of the greenish copper and the bright red from the nether bricks and the mangrove. It also ties in so well with the berry bushes, which was kind of unintentional, but I really love it. And there is one more thing I wanted to show you, which kind of got lost in the time lapse, and that is yet another entrance to the greenhouse. I really wanted to be accessible from almost every angle, and that is why I shaved off all of the stone over here to make ourselves a little way into the most uppest level into the greenhouse. So you can see there is a little platform in here with some space for the tree to grow even further, and you have this wonderful view, and you can even jump down straight into the pond if you want to. And there might even be some more little secret entrances and exits into the greenhouse and throughout this whole island. I'm planning to hide so many Easter eggs and little things you can explore and find out yourself, which aren't necessarily going to be shown on camera, so keep an eye out for that, I'd say. And now, of course, we have the distributor well connected to the compression machine, so everything is hooked up and should be working by the next episode, and I'm really excited about that, as well as seeing what Percy is going to do with the big machine behind me. I can imagine maybe some sound effects, some particle effects, maybe he is going to be able to make the rotor spin, which is gonna be incredibly awesome, of course. So don't miss out on his video, definitely go and check out his channel. He's doing absolutely amazing stuff over there. But I think that is going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like, of course. And if you want to see the sweetroot implemented, let me know. Do you like the carrot with the beetroot texture more, or do you prefer the beetroot with the carrot texture? I really gotta know because I can't decide. But for now, I'm going to send you off, and I'm gonna see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody!